when I look down at my hands and I'm eating Takis, I know they're just a bunch of ones and zeros, but in my mouth they taste really fucking good and they're really crunchy. But I know one thing is true, Roger. Ignorance is bliss. With that lead in, we are talking about the cyberpunk hit movie / TV show Cyber City Oedo 838.
808.
808, fuck. Like a trap beat. What's going on, Roger? Love the look. Fucking I log in here, Roger's rocking this bomb ass fucking cyberpunk outfit. I'm here sit here with a fucking punk. I had to find this.
We're being goofy as fuck.
Hell yeah, dude. No, so is it the other day you were like, yo, Ryan, you want to watch this fucking cyberpunk movie? Why don't you give me a little background how you found out about this, Roger?
So I found this one, I want to say, through a now defunct website.
Allegedly.
Apparently. It just had a bunch of cyberpunk reviews and just a list of things that are cyberpunk, where I found most of the things that I've grown to love.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called, cyberpunkreview.com was the original site. It doesn't, servers are down, I imagine now.
Mm-hmm.
But 3-episode OVA. I found this one, a fun one called Nemesis, and I believe I found Strange Days through it too. So those three are very entertaining and fun.
Are those different movies or they're in the same universe type of thing?
Different movies.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, today's, like I said, just like the Dead Space episode, me and Roger watched Cyberpunk, fucking Cyber City, and we're talking about it today. So like I said, it's about 3 episodes. So just to give a background, quick version of that is you got 3 fucking criminals. Like, I don't know if they're like mastermind criminals or some shit, but in the near future, instead of being stuck in prison, how's about you work for the government? To work your sentence off, and they make you do, let's just say, odd jobs. Oh man, I'm so cyberpunk, I realize we're still on full screen on my end. Oh fuck. Chilling too much. Nah.
You're stuck in the simulation.
I am stuck in the simulation. Holy shit. I was too busy being fucking blackpilled or whatever it's called. I don't fucking know. But anyway. No, but so of course you have your 3 main characters. I have it written down here. There's Sengoku, who is like the tough guy archetype, which I love because they have the different archetypes. You have Sengoku, who's like the badass with the big fucking hand cannon. You got Goji, who is like the hacker, even though he wears a fucking mohawk, and it's like, yeah, look at me. He like drinks. Everyone drinks profusely. He doesn't like your usual nerd. Like, I'm in. You know what I mean? And then
this big beefy motherfucker.
Oh yeah, he really is though. And then I like the way the wiki calls it. It's the Bushinji, the Bushinji fucking Benton. Now those, of course, are probably other, like, I don't know. We watched it in the UK dub.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's the UK name or the Japanese name. They just shorten it out. I know there's Japanese names. But you said something specifically special. I'm glitching out, man. The Matrix is fighting back. But you said like the UK dub has a specific thing with the music, correct?
Yeah, I believe the dude behind the soundtrack, or the person, was like Rory McFarlane, I think.
Yes.
And it's just very rock.
Yeah. Because I remember you were
Very
telling
rock
me.
and synthy.
Yeah, you were telling me, like, Ryan, we're watching the UK version, the UK one, and like everything I looked up is like they redid all the music, and yeah, like if you watch it now, it's just like fucking rock and roll. Like you go to a clash and like sit, like I said, synth and just like, yeah, let's go. Like 80s. What year is this? 89.
It came out in 1990, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So probably 89.
Nice,
when it was made.
Hell yeah. So as you can imagine, it's a classic anime. So from the late 80s, early 90s, which you and I have talked so much because, CRT crowd and shit. We love that old school style. And I think that's the one thing that made you and I drawn to it, correct?
Yep.
So what would you say? Between the 3 stories, which one is your favorite? Or should we give a quick synopsis of all the 3 really quick?
Yeah, we'll do a quick synopsis.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the first one, I guess, if you want to go to the second, then that way. Our first story which I kind of feel is actually probably the last story because it shows at the very end where I always fuck up. I can't remember the first dude's name ever.
It's Sengoku.
Sengoku, yeah.
Yeah,
Sengoku is like going after his boss at the end, right?
Hasagawa. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I wrote the
So
names down so I don't forget neither.
I feel like they swapped the order around kind of because that feels like a very final episode type thing at the very start of your first episode. Uh, but yeah, no, that's unrelated to that. The first plot is basically there's a fucking skyscraper, if whatever you want to call it. It's been hacked. It has access to a satellite weapon, if I recall correctly. Um, and they have to get in there and shut it down and try and figure out what the fuck's going on. And it turns out the head programmer killed the dude, and this dude's a ghost in the machine kind of, and is back from the grave in a way and doing his shit to get back at the guy that killed him.
Yeah, that was the one thing that was surprisingly cool about this movie's. Oh, well, yeah, movie/OVA is that there, as the stories go, they add a little bit more like supernatural elements to go with the sci-fi, which I thought was really fucking sick. Because, like I said, the first thing is shouts at the game fucking Ruiner. They had the guy brings up his screen. It's like kill you, kill you, kill you, which is just like in Ruiner. I think it's where they got I showed you where they got the idea. It says like kill boss, kill boss, because that's actually how the game starts. That's the first thing you see. So the fact is that Cyber City's doing that first, and that's the first thing you see. It's really fucking cool. But yeah, I think later on in the story, they're saying like they're in that building. It has like, it's like a huge ass fucking building, and there's like 50,000 people in there. I remember reading the synopsis a little bit just to catch me up on it. But you were saying there was the ghost in the machine. The guy killed someone.
Yeah. The head programmer got annoyed that he was like in the shadow of the other programmer, so just killed the dude and the job was done. And then he somehow survived, not quite survived, but his part of him survived in the machine.
It's really sick. So, I mean, obviously, spoiler alert for the hit OVA from 1989. So, sorry for spoiling this. You had 35 years to get that down.
And a little spoiler in front of this when you're done. Be like, watch before you watch.
Exactly. No, it was cool because it reveals that like he throws him off the fucking like the cliff. Not really.
Yep.
It's like I said, it's like a
Tekken's them.
Yeah, pretty sure. Like I said, it's a building that hosts 50,000 people. So it's like, what the fuck? He throws him off a ledge, and then like he lands in like a scary like in between area, and his body mixes in with the fucking wiring, and he becomes like this really cool like final boss wire monster. I control the whole system thing. It was really fucking sick. And that's like the big reveal. It's like, yeah, I'm a supercomputer, but I'm also part human. And fuck this place. I'm going to kill everyone. And of course, Hasagawa, the boss, calls those guys, and they're like, hey, you want like 3 years off your sentence, even though there's like 500 years in your sentence? Go kill that guy for me. You know? And then like he doesn't, right? No, he's just like, hey, he needs to go to trial, but he fucking just shoots him anyway. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, no, you can't do that. That's fucking jail time, bro. Like, you're not getting that shit back. But I thought it was cool though. Is like I said, for this one, it's the first guy. It's Sengoku. Sengoku is your good old fashioned badass, hand cannon wielding, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun type gig. And
the Japanese John McClane.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think, especially when they started with him, it really kind of sets the tone for like how the show is. Like what really took me off guard, like I said, it's from the 80s, early 90s, is that they weren't mincing words. They're just like, I got the biggest fucking hangover. Like, don't fucking talk to me. He's talking to his robot assistants. Like, you should do this. Like, don't fucking tell me what to do. And everyone's just swearing, and everyone's all gritty and badass. But it works so well because I feel like they actually put a lot of time and effort into the voice acting, especially because it's English dub.
Yeah, they're Australian robot.
Yeah. I know around the end of it, what I thought was really funny, which I noticed has been a theme in the show, which you'll hear a lot of, is that as a lot of times like people are fighting against like technology, like
Mm.
humans as is, because you can obviously probably understand that the place, the cyber city, what's it, how do you say Odeo? No, fucking
Oedo, I
Oedo.
believe.
Yeah, Oedo is the name of the city, and of course, it being cyberpunk, it's not the coolest place in the world, or like
Mm.
the nicest for people. So it's your gritty, futuristic, post fucking Blade Runner shit, and it's awesome because it's just super cyberpunky and dystopian. But as I was saying, is a lot of the times these criminals are doing things, which is when you think about it, it's like the human spirit versus like technology and versus the machine,
Yeah.
because it ends up that main boy, Sengoku, is fighting them, and he's finding out like, holy shit, you went into the machine, and now you're super strong. You can process all my attacks. You can predict all my attacks. All right, I'm gonna do something fucking stupid. It's just your classic, like, I'm gonna do the one thing you didn't predict, and that was me just walking in a straight line doing nothing.
Low term mirror walk towards.
Yeah, he just kind of, and it's like
You
figuring out
can't
his
beat
shoot.
you can't beat human stupidity.
Nope, you cannot. It's like, why would you do this? It's because why not? I mean, you have every other idea, and he just fucking slowly walks up to it and just fucking boom, blasts it in the face. And it's like, nice, hell yeah. Moving on to the second story. Um, that's the one with Goji, correct?
Yeah.
That's the one with so this one's the hacker guy we mentioned earlier. So personally, this one's actually my favorite.
Mm.
This was the one when I first watched it. I was like, this one's all right. On second watch, I really enjoyed it. Upon second
Mm.
watch, I was just like, oh, this guy actually has like a decent background that they delve into, because the first half, it's like just him driving around. They're all talking to him, and then he meets up with his old partner, and they're like, oh, remember all the cool shit we used to do, blah blah blah, this and that. And after a while, you realize, oh no, they're being chased because her
Mm.
earring has a fucking tracker on it, and like that's fucking weird. So they get chased by this fucking crazy, cybernetic freak guy experiment. They're like, no, my experiment will go get them. And they just fucking like, all right, we gotta get away from this guy, like whatever. To the point where, of course, she wants to crash into them, and then of course she dies, unfortunately, because I believe
Yeah.
halfway through the story is she knew she was trouble, but I knew she probably knew that they were leading him to get caught as well. She was a trap, I
Yeah.
believe. She was like a decoy. But at that point, they were like, nah, like I can't let my boy out like that. And tries to redeem herself, but she fucking crashes it and lands in the water. So of
It's the
course,
Miami Vice. It's the Miami Vice special.
they.
Crockett's friends in town, and he's gonna die, or they're gonna die.
I never really got into Miami Vice. That was one of those that I really wanted to be interested in, but I wasn't sure. That was just one I think I was like, I just never had access to.
I think I have it on, I, file. I think probably send some.
Nice, hell yeah. But then the second half of that is really cool. The second half of that I really enjoyed is fuck, what's his name? Goji goes out and he's just like, hey, what the fuck, everybody? Like, who is this freak guy you sent to me? My friend
Mm.
is fucking dead, and this is some bullshit. And they're like, yeah, well, fucking deal with it. It's not my problem. It's your problem. And then they were like, but I have a proposition for you. Proposition, not a preposition. I think that's a thing in fucking the English language. They go, you're gonna fight that freak monster who your friend tried killing, and you're gonna go toe to toe with it, because us two corpos have this bet that, like, look at this fucking crazy human I built, human robot hybrid guy. You guys are obsolete. We don't need you guys. You don't need weird criminals to do your job.
Mm.
You're just gonna fucking do your thing. These guys are the future, and they're like, all right, you two are gonna fucking fight. And
You know,
boy, that fight I watch back now, that is so fucking good. It is one of my favorite fights. That is so sick. That fight, because like that guy gets his ass handed to him both ways. Both of them get their asses kicked, dude. What do you think?
oh hell yeah, and especially when he's using a fucking like a support from like this giant pillar as a fucking crutch in the fight.
Hell yeah. Uh,
Uh,
but one of the
yeah.
biggest. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. In this, cyborg human thing is basically, what if you gave Yoshimitsu Dalsim's fucking arms
Yeah,
and
bro.
legs?
He goes full extension and everything. It's wild. I was watching the fight again, and bro, it's like it's so cool because you look at it and it's like, is that a human or not? And then like you start the way they show you is like the I don't want to, I would say like it looks like Cyrax, like the dreadlocks and shit. Like all the
Yep.
connectors to the back of his head are just pumping fucking blood into like the head. You're like,
Mm.
there's a guy in there. What the fuck is
Mm.
that? And it's really a dude in there, to the point where like they fucking just wail on each other at the very end, which I thought was kind of funny because when they get to the end of the fight, after he shoots him a bunch of times, he's wearing all this armor and shit, and it's like deflecting bullets, and at the very end he's able to just punch it a bunch, and it's just like, sure, I guess. I mean, if bullets could penetrate, his fucking hand can. But part of me thinks the idea is that by then he's weaker. He's been beat up and destroyed. He had a whole fucking like car run into him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, all right, he's weak. And then they actually show the guy, like he's fucking, the mask comes off. It's some dude. His fucking eyes are all bugged out and shit. Like the eyes are out of it because there's cybernetic eyes underneath it. And the guy's like, hey, that's a fucking order. You better get the fuck up. You better get up. And the thing is just like freaking out. And the guy's like, Goji's like, yo, this is some bullshit. He's like, also, fuck you. And he kills the guy. And I was like, and everyone's just
That
like,
fucking throw.
yeah.
That fucking throw of the arm was the hand that he threw at him.
He takes the hand and he fucking throws it at his throat. Oh, it's so good. And I like how the corpos were like, yeah, well, sucks to be that guy. I'm not worried about it one bit. I'm like, didn't you all just realize he killed like some guy y'all were talking to? It's like, nah, we're good. Because exactly, it's the future. Like, fuck it, we'll just get the next guy to step up. And then, Rod, you want to talk about the last one?
Yeah. So the last one throws vampires into the mix. um, a bunch of genetic researchers basically end up being found dead with puncture wounds and no blood, and it's Benton's episode, and he investigates the series of like grisly murders, and ends up having to they discover technically they're vampires, but they're not vampires. It's genetic research that somehow makes you need to drink blood.
Yeah, I like how that was their caveat. It's like and they kind of live forever. They kind of don't. We just put them in pods so like they stay young forever.
Yeah, and then he takes a long ass elevator up to a space station. That's a fucking horrifying elevator ride right there.
Dude, hell no.
Ground level to fucking.
You're watching it and like, yep, Ryan takes a fucking elevator to space. I'm like, oh hell no. You know how long that probably would take? Like, if like just think about the speed of like how fast it would be for it to just like feel like not a whole like 2 days worth. Yeah. At the same time, not fast enough to fucking crush you in there.
And then dude slides down who knows how long, like on his own like little fucking ninja rope thing until I assume he hits like the top of the elevator and like rides it down the rest of the way, but that's still a long ass way.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I like the way it starts. Yeah, go ahead.
Basically he runs into a girl with the condition that is the killer, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
Technically speaking, she is the killer. They start off. He meets like this young girl who's just standing around this area, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Should be out here." And she's like, "Get away from me, fucking creep!" And he's like, "I'm a fucking cop," and she's like, "Ew." But yeah, you were saying.
but our main antagonist ends up being the head of the corporation, I guess. After
Once again,
he
corporations.
injects himself with the I guess the not the DNA, but whatever it is that
Yeah, like the
they
gene.
used on the girl.
I would say
Yeah.
gene splicing serum.
Yeah.
You know, just go with fancy like cyberpunk shit that way.
Yeah. Bro gets sucked out an airlock and survives and reconstitutes inside the fucking place.
Seriously though.
That that Dracula reference right there. I'm assuming like you can kill them, but it has to be in their own place,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So of course, so with like Cyber City being one of the cyberpunk things that you showed me and everything. Um,
Hmm.
what else like in that genre have you looked into like or what got you into it?
So I guess I would say the first bit of cyberpunk, even though it's more cyber noir, is the big one, Blade Runner. That just that vibe is, and ever since then I've tried to seek out whatever I can find in that vibe.
You know, I've never seen Blade Runner. That's the one movie that I need to fucking see. I saw the new one with like with
Mm.
like Ryan Gosling. And
Yep.
but like I don't know. It's just like every time I'm on Hulu or I'm on a streaming site, it's like, oh, Blade Runner's on. He's like, no, not yet. I'm like, okay, well, fuck me. I ain't gonna watch it then yet. I ain't paying for it just yet. Like, let me wait for a streaming site and I'll watch it.
My controversial opinion is I enjoy the theatrical release more so than the director's cut and final cut.
Fair enough. I don't know. I heard there's like some differences, but like I said, I don't know much because I haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, no. So that was the major first bit of cyberpunk I ever watched, really, and then ever since then I just try to track down stuff of that variety because I just the aesthetic and the vibe is just fucking fantastic. So this one is a big one for it. Strange Days, which I told you about a little bit. Uh, I would say also hardware. That's also a very good one. And what was that other one? Oh yeah, I mentioned Nemesis. Solo Nemesis. It's fun, but it's not as good as these ones, I would say. And
Okay.
those are all live action films.
I was gonna say, I think I remember you were talking about me before. Those were like live action, like '80s movies, correct?
Uh, so Nemesis is early '90s. Strange Days is '95, and Hardware is also early mid '90s. I want to say.
Nice. Hell yeah. All right, well, fucking see. Yeah, I don't know shit about Cyberpunk. It was funny. I was never really a Cyberpunk person for the longest time. Like, I thought like Cyberpunk was cool. Like, you're looking at your
Mm.
things, looking into like, Batman Beyond. Like for me, was like,
Yep.
oh, that's in the future. That's cool. And I was like, I was aware of the fucking movie we were just talking about, Blade Runner. But I'm just like,
Yep.
maybe I'll watch it when I'm older. I know people's always talked about that. But like, I was always between the two, between cyberpunk and steampunk.
Yep.
I was more leaning towards steampunk back when I was younger because, like, I don't know, I just liked Victorian shit, and I was
Mm.
a wannabe goth kid, I guess. So of course, I picked the one that was more gothy. Like, I saw cyberpunk stuff, I saw like cyber goth, and I'm like, cool, like Blade and shit. I'm like, oh, it has that
Mm.
vibe, and like I love my techno music. I love my dance. I love my trance, my psy trance, all that shit. I'm all about that life. But like, it's just like, yeah, I like it, but it's just like when I see movies that are in the future, I'm like, I like the music, the vibe is fine. It just doesn't do anything for me. But like now that I'm older, I'm like, yo, Cyberpunk's pretty lit. No wonder people like this more. I would say in my regards to Cyberpunk currently that I was really into, was the game Sleeper Citizen. I think I
All
told you
right.
about that one. That one was really fucking cool. That plays like Disco Elysium. Shouts out of always be talking about Disco Elysium on this fucking podcast. It's a very it's a very story heavy based, text heavy video game where you play as a citizen sleeper or a sleeper unit,
Mm.
and what happens is for some reason you break out of the fucking plane that you're in, plane, fucking
Mm.
spaceship, full of other sleeper agents. God, I'm just saying random shit. What's wrong with me? With other fucking sleepers, and you're just like, hey, your consciousness was sold to either pay a debt or to pay somebody else's debt, or just to, you needed a job or some shit, most likely to pay a debt. uh, is that you have like very vague memories. They say like they don't know if you're memories or not, or they're just memories they implanted into you. And it's just super cool because it's just like the guy, he says it, he's just, I don't know if these are my memories or the ones they gave me, because I remember being there, signing the paperwork, standing and looking at like a all white like a all white tile floor, and they said, "Look, this is your new life now. Your consciousness is gonna go into a robot. We own that now. We own your consciousness to pay off a debt for how many years we fucking need you." So once one sleeper unit goes down, they just go, "Great, take the fuck." Oh, it's perfect. Take that bad boy out. We'll put it into this one. And then, hey, welcome back. You got another 50 years to work. There you go, son. So ultimately, you guy escapes, and you're in this like shitty fucking barge, I would call it. That's like a city and everything. There's like a whole ass city. There's apartments. People live there. And it's like, do you want to like escape? Do you want to stay there and make your own life there? How are we going to live the rest of your life? Will you get caught? Because, corporations don't want to lose their profits. So they're going to come look for you. So what will you do to live your life in this barge? Will you escape, or will you stay here and make a life of your own? And, man, that was a really good fucking game. Like I said, very text heavy, but I really enjoyed it. Very chill. The soundtrack, 100% amazing. Love it. Ever play any?
I will have to check it out.
Oh yeah.
Next paycheck, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's a really like easy. I played on PS5. Really simple. Like
Alright.
if you want to buy it on sale, I think it's like $10 when it's not on sale. But man, freaking the one thing I did like about that game, the art is really good. They do the way they draw the characters, because like I said, you look at characters and it's just them and then text on the side, and they're like really nice, well made anime characters with really cool cyberpunk clothing. Like I look at of course I wanted to cosplay a few of those guys, but I'm looking at the detail of how much they drew everything. I'm like, oh hell no, because you know how cyberpunk clothes, like it's always like, oh man, I got a shirt, but then I got a shirt that has like a latch right here. And then like, let me just have like a little thing. This is where my air comes out of my back. It's like, fucking, I ain't doing that shit. It's like steampunk.
Wiring in your shirt.
Exactly. Like I said, it's like steampunk. Throw a gear here, a little bit of gears there. Throw a wrench over here, Fucking hell yeah. What is it about cyberpunk, like the aesthetic, that you love the most? Like, why is it why are you drawn to it?
So it honestly is a lot. It's just the fact that it has the punk element in it for me, really, and that's what I love. And on top of that, the antagonists in most things are, corporates, cops, authority figures that are absolutely corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, of course you have your stuff where, the cops are protagonists, like you have Ghost in the Shell,
Yeah.
that's that own cyberpunk isle of things. And on top of that, I will say this. So in my head, cyberpunk always looks 80s. Like that's kind of the thing. Like
Yep.
there's no early 90s and then beyond that. I think I've said this before, but sci-fi, whatever, they made everything very uniform, iPod like Apple product, just smooth, no edges, no rough edges.
Yeah.
Just no character, basically.
Right. So ultimately,
And
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I would say ultimately what you're saying is cyberpunk for you is usually what they assumed like the future would be, granted from the mid 80s to the mid 90s being like that classic,
Yeah.
except the fucking Blade Runner esque Cyber City Oedo.
Yeah.
Odio, fucking I can never pronounce it. Adeo, Ghost in Shell, even Akira. How it's just
Yep.
it's just not even like, oh, we're in the future. Yeah, it's not that pretty though. It's like, why? It sucks. I mean, we keep saying the name, but Cyberpunk, the fucking video game / tabletop game, is a really fucking good example.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, no, it's great, but things also really fucking suck.
Hey, at least they get the cool aesthetic. We
Yeah.
don't get that in our hellscape of
No,
capitalism.
our hellscape here is just like, we're longing for fucking CRTs and shit.
Uh, but yeah, no. Thanks, Reagan.
So,
Uh,
in your opinion,
yeah, no.
when it comes to like cyberpunk like aesthetic, um, how do you feel like the music should be?
So I have a very, I don't know if interesting is the right word here. So the ethos or the message, it's very punk rock, right?
Yeah.
But the sound itself, it does lend itself more to that very 80s sleazy hard rock kind of sound.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, it's this weird healthy balance of both that you need, I feel. Because like, you need you need some of that, Black Flag, but you also need some of that Motley Crue kind of thing
Yeah.
in there for it to balance out and feel natural to the world in a way.
Yeah, kind of like Johnny Silverhand's band,
Yeah.
where it's just like it's rock. It's not it's like this punk group, but it's just like hard rock, and they're just
Yeah.
fucking jamming out. Pulls a gun out in the middle of it. Yeah.
And granted, Silverhand pretty much the lyrics to the, samurai songs are super punk and they sound the punk sound.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they're probably I can't remember the name of the character, but there is a certain Cyberpunk 2020 campaign book where you have to follow around a rocker boy and be like security. And he's not Johnny Silverhand, like he is the just straight up party kind of character, if I remember correctly. It's just, the kind of sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of thing,
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, because I say I feel like when you talk about like rock and roll and you talk about like cyberpunk shit, like I say, like me, I'm not really well versed in cyberpunk stuff. Like I said, I love the aesthetic nowadays, and I just see it through just like media of like, oh, this is cyberpunk, like cool, and I just like, what's the fucking word? Meiosis. I just absorb it.
Yep.
Osmosis Jones.
Osmosis.
Yeah, Osmosis Jones. It. Fucking look.
Chris Rock Moses.
Hey, Chris Rock Moses. Kid Rock saying really obscene lyrics in it, Moses. But anyway, yeah, but like through osmosis, but I'd see like drawings and artists just like oh dude, this is a cyberpunk world I created. That band, fucking, it's not Oh Wonder, Oh Genius, like that vibe, that fucking not Outrun, it's. Fuck, what's that genre? It's gonna bother me now because I really want to say because I fucking love the genre.
Synthwave?
Synthwave, yes sir, Synthwave. There it is. Oh Genius is one of those like all their photos are just, Cyber Cities. Cybernetic girl standing on top of a skyscraper looking down at the city type shit. Yeah, it's your synthwave, it's your chill wave, it's your chill step, like. To me, that stuff is like the later versions of cyberpunk music. Like, you want to get, like, yeah, I know what you mean, man. It has to be that fucking hard rock. It has to be that punk. Throw a little bit of saxophone in there for good measure. Why not? But, like...
also, I will say this. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Trip hop in there as well.
What? Oh, yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Ever listen to the band fucking... now New Englanders coming out at me. Glitch Mob?
I have not.
Glitch Mob's one of those. They do. We talk about genres. Glitch hop, I think the music's called.
Yep.
And they have a very, in my opinion, like late 2000s cyberpunky feel, in the sense of how they play. In the sense of like more modern cyberpunk music. I was surprised they haven't put in anything for any cyberpunk games. Honestly, a really well-known like cyberpunk style, in my opinion, is more goth. I don't know if it's more goth, but his aesthetic's wild. Is Carpenter Brute. Ever listen to Carpenter Brute?
Yep.
Yeah,
I've listened to a
dude.
couple things.
Ah, dude. Like even the video, his music videos are cool as fuck, though. Oh my god. That's some good shit right there.
I'll also add into the so it almost is like fits the older style too, but not quite.
Mhm.
The Prodigy. The Prodigy is also very
Yeah,
much.
I agree with that. I agree with that one because I know people are gonna be like, oh, well, what about this? What is it? Funk. That's the one that's the most like 2020.
Yep.
Like, oh, but what about this? No, that's to me. That's 2020 cyberpunk shit.
Mm,
Like funk and all that. I mean,
hmm
don't get me wrong. Funk is good as fuck, boy. Like, do I feel like I'm gonna ride in a fucking car? I'm walking through a fucking drug lab and like there's cybernetics everywhere. Hell yeah, because I'm thinking modernly. I'm not thinking
mm,
80s or 90s cyberpunk. I'm thinking like 2020. Like this is what we think cyberpunk should be, you know.
mm,
But it's really cool because it's just this conversation we're having. I'm actually really interested in because we're talking about cyberpunk in regards to music, and like
mm.
the more I'm like just jumping into it, I'm like, yeah, fucking hell yeah, dude. Like
It,
because there's
like
always a bit of like we want to make futuristic music without thinking
mm,
it's futuristic. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like things like mid late 2000s, like some of the scene stuff is
mhm,
like Breathe Carolina or like what's the other band? And then there were none where they're using a lot of synth. And it's like this is
mhm,
cool if it was like the future, but it's not exactly the future. They're just doing screamo and emo shit and scene
mm.
core stuff or like the medical droid. It's just that they like using synth more than
Yeah.
along with um, you know, guitars, drums, and vocals, you know?
Yeah. No. Cyberpunk really does boil down to like the TTRPG. It is style over substance,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, there is still a substance there that needs to be there.
Yeah. And would you say would like? Cause in my opinion, like the substance of like anything cyberpunky is like dystopian, and it's more of
Yep.
a warning than it
Yep.
is like, oh, look how cool this world is. It's like, no, this world sucks. You don't
Yeah.
want this world. Like I know the guy, who's the creator of Cyberpunk. Ooh, it's gonna bother me.
Mike Pondsmith.
Yeah, Mike Pondsmith was like, hey, you're not supposed to follow this. This is a warning. Like, you shouldn't be buy meat. It's 33% real meat. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Scarce, talking about like scarcity and like, overpopulation and like the human
Mm.
life is just so like not even valuable to the corporation. We just need more numbers, which I
Yeah.
love when it comes to cyberpunk because that's kind of the idea. It's
Yeah.
what is it? Corporations don't care about human life. Human life is worthless. All people care about is numbers and progress. And
Yep.
it's just and progress even back then is nothing. It's just moving the needle to make sure somebody makes more money than everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's like
Profit more so than progress, but
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then what? That's your world. So make whatever you want with that world. Um, I love how this turned to the cyberpunk episode. As I mentioned earlier, I want to touch on something because no one talks about it. It's just like when I was looking up Cyber City 808, there
Mhm.
like the wiki is just like 5 sentences of each episode. So there's like nothing
Yep.
in there and it's annoying because like I feel like there's more to it. What we said earlier was just so like just it's very short, but like they're 50 minutes a piece, dude. We busted out like 2.5 hours watching that shit the other day, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Went by fast like a motherfucker. But man, another thing that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, like I said, I mentioned earlier, is Ruiner. The lore in
Mm.
Ruiner does not get as much credit as it should. So what's cool that I most likely like about Ruiner? Ruiner is once again cyberpunk, but it's cyberpunk post 2000s. We'll just call it 2000 cyberpunk
Yep.
because I think my favorite difference between I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this or not, is like Cyberpunk has like originally they used to think like China would be the one that's like the biggest name.
Yep.
and they're like, oh my god, China's taking over. Like if you look at something like, let's say, Firefly / Serenity, people are
Yep.
you're using like Chinese slang because they believed at the time that China was going to be the big, the big one that's going to take over because of their billions of people, you know.
Yeah.
But then after like 2000s and anime and shit, people started leaning towards Japanese because Japan likes that futuristic shit. So they started leaning to that aesthetic more. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I feel like, oh no, like, kawaii des, like in the future things are cool because it's like Japan. It's like, okay, I feel like Japan kind of took over the Asian influence when it comes to cyberpunk.
I feel there's like probably a healthy mix all throughout it, honestly, like from like what Neuromancer to now. I'd say a bit of both China and Japan as like these are the guys that are going to be the superpowers
Yeah.
in the incoming future. Of course, there's a lot of racism from certain authors, and that's why they chose Japan and China for those
I mean,
purposes.
let's be real. Like, that's kind of it. That's why I said, like, there's that, should I say, not thinking, but that fear. It
Yeah,
really is what it was. Like, China, the billions of people are going to take over the world. It's like, I mean, they're too busy doing other things. I don't think they have time for that. No, but I know what you mean. But yeah, I feel it's the same way too. But like I said, when they say like Japan now too, I feel like with how they want things like post 2000s, like especially 2010s, it's like the Japanese aesthetic because everyone thinks, Japan's living in the future. Look how they have these robots and look how all these things. Well, technically, yeah, some of their shit's really fucking cool. I'm not gonna disregard that. And it's cool
yeah.
futuristic shit. Like, all the billboards are all 3D and shit, and there's all these big signs everywhere. At the same time, I feel like, yeah, Japan really was like, yo, Cyberpunk's fucking sick. We're gonna take this and make this our own, But
What's the proper work-life balance anyway?
yeah, exactly, huh? uh, but going back to what I was saying, like, so the game Ruiner, you're like, yeah, you have this girl who like talks to you, and you like said, you're a guy with just a mask. You don't know who you are. Once again, you're this weird guy, robot. You don't know who you are. You're part human, part not. Who knows? All you need to do is kill people and do what you're told. Is it for the corporations? No, the first guy you kill, the kill boss moment, it's like, that was your old boss. You fucking whacked him. Good for you. And then you realize, oh, I'm joining a resistance to help fight the corporations. And there it is. But going back to what I was saying originally, was the lore had one really dark fucking theme. And I was like, I would like to know more about that because that was really fucking cool. So in this game, people live in VR. Well, not everybody lives in VR, but the ability to have VR is kind of a necessity, maybe, but more importantly, the rich people use that to as their source of entertainment. They can do anything and everything in VR. If you want to, like a better, you want to have sex, you want to fuck something, you want to kill something, you want to like feel something, in VR, it can feel super real. How do we do that? That's easy. The way it works is people volunteer, their bodies to be the connective tissue to create all of those things with inside VR. So when someone locks in, they lock in all of their feelings, they lock in all of their like neurons, and like their physical body can get transferred into there where you can actually touch them. So what tends to happen is, they're just in a pod, locked in, just fully hooked up. And they're there for the foreseeable future, once again, just like Citizen Sleeper, to when they've used up the usefulness or when they paid their debt, they can leave. So, of course, there's people in there who are just suffering because, oh, this rich guy wants to kill somebody. He really wants to feel what it's like to do that. They kill somebody in there instead of actually killing a person IRL and it's messy. That's in VR, but they can feel it. They can see the fear in people's eyes. They can see all that. Someone has to be on the receiving end of all of those things. And it's that real to them, and that's just that all the reactions are all real. The same thing with any type of pleasure, pain, or anything like that. Some people don't actually want to feel it a certain way. They just want to just X, Y, and Z. Boom. We have a body we can use, and that person will feel everything along with you. Whatever you do to that, they'll feel it. You can feel it too, but it's better for you. And there's a point in the game where you open up one of the pods to get somewhere, and then just bodies just fall out. Just limp ass bodies, like 10 of them. And the game, and they're just like, oh, who are those? Like, those are the people who signed up for these things. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They're pretty much far gone now. They've lost all consciousness. They don't even know who they are anymore. And they'll just weather away. It's like, what the fuck?
So that's almost like Strange Days to an extent, but not quite.
Oh yeah, cool. Hell yeah.
Strange Days basically someone wears a I believe they call it a squib so they put this thing on their head.
Yeah.
Like they put a wig on it, and then whatever that person does, like you put, so like they go, say you want to rob a liquor store or whatever, right? That person robs a liquor store. You get that playback tape back from them. You put it in your own little playback, and then you experience as if you were there.
Yeah. Just like, what's it called again? Brain dances and fucking,
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. And you know what sucks about that whole situation when I just told you? The only way you find out about that is no one tells you that in the game. They say it very briefly, like, oh, those are the people who owed money to the corporations. You're like, oh, you have to go into the menu, and it's like, oh, it says, top corner, like, oh, hey, pod lore unlocked, and you have to read about it. And it's like, oh, that's it. I tried looking it up, like, on the internet. It's not there. I have to, like, screenshot it from the video game. That's how much non-information there is out there. I just think
so you said you basically, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the plot is basically you get out and you join, like, rebellion.
Yeah.
Or resistance.
Ultimately, it's your classic, hey, I'm a hacker. I hate this fucking company. You're going to work for me now. Let's just get back at these companies. And there it is. That's it. Let's get back at the corporation that screwed us and everybody over. That's predominantly it. Your classic just, fuck the corporations, man.
I would like to see a bit more positive ending Cyberpunk, like straight up resistance, where, like, you actually do get to topple the true horror.
Yeah.
That should happen a bit more, because we kind of need it now.
Yeah. I think the closest you'll ever get to something like that, like, I don't think we'll ever have one where it's like, unless someone makes a huge story, because at the end of the day, it's, I hate to say this, but it'd be like social collapse if that shit were to happen. But I think the best example of that, to be different, is Fight Club. Fight Club isn't Cyberpunk, but ultimately their idea was, we're going to destroy all the banks and everything. Why? We're going to start everyone from zero. You know what I mean? It was straight up just, you're in debt, you're not in debt anymore. You know what I mean? Like, all these companies, like, have all these things on you, they're all gone now. Everyone's starting all fresh and new. The corporations don't own us anymore. And, like, maybe I remember it differently, but I remember that being the thing. Like, it was just, look, if you can just restart everything and not have the corporations at your leash, you're good.
If I recall correctly, that was the excuse that they used to do it. Like, mostly about, like, dysfunction.
Yeah.
I think was the point of it. Like, personal dysfunction, but that definitely does,
Damn, they got me then. I didn't understand shit. I need to rewatch that movie now. Fuck. Look like a sucker. I'm in the Matrix still. God. Nah, but I feel like that's kind of like the idea of, like, instead of, like, you can't win, but you might as well just give everyone else a chance.
Yeah.
I think it's just to help the common man. And I think that's kind of like the whole idea with, like, Cyberpunk, like, rebellion, so to speak. is just, hey, look, can the corporation just not fuck us, please? Oh shit.
But back to Cyber City actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, talking about the horror elements again,
Mm-hmm.
just fantastic.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, we need some straight up cyberpunk horror too. Like, I think I haven't said this to you. I've said this to a couple people. I think I mentioned this to Abel. I messaged Abel about it at one point. Picture, if you will, a cyberpunk Hellraiser movie.
I think you made me post about it, and I kept memeing about fucking Hellraiser, like Cyberworld or some shit, like the 5th movie in the franchise.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I
Yeah.
remember doing like, yeah, there's this one right here. You're like, shut the fuck up. We don't talk about this movie. What? Hellworld.
But yeah, no, like,
Hellraiser goes Y2K on our asses. Oh, scary.
but yeah, no, a cyberpunk Hellraiser would be incredibly interesting to watch.
That would
Just
be pretty
because, like, you gotta think about it. Someone summons a Cenobite and they see a dude with a hand cannon all ready for an arm. They're like, what the fuck? We just got here. How do you have a weapon that can level a city block already?
Right. Like I said, some of the thing, like, I feel like you can play with both too, because like I said, the biggest horror that I always feel with Cyberpunk, like what I was talking about earlier, was the, you know,
Yep.
the fucking people for profit, you know,
Yep.
and like just wasting, like the disregard for human life is kind of like Cyberpunk horror. But like to actually
Yep.
put, like you said, supernatural elements into it, like we watch with fucking Cyber City, having a fucking vampire show up, because I realized in the second story, Homeboy has fucking psionic powers. You know, I'm
Yep.
gonna stop everything with my brain and I'm gonna push it away. I'm like, I don't think that's really science there, boss. It sounds kind of made up. You know what I mean? But no, but yeah, like you said, a shitty fucking world already that's like, you know, craptastic, and then hey, let's make it worse. What? There's gonna be fucking monsters everywhere. It's almost like just take fucking Predator and just move it to the future. That'd be fun.
Yep.
Put Predator.
So almost Predator 2 in a way.
Yeah, I know, because Predator 2 was like kind of cyberpunky, but it wasn't.
Like, I watched that a second time. Like, it always felt like it was in the future, but it's like it's set like maybe a couple years after it was made or was released. I think it's like 1990 something.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way too. Like, why did I feel like they were in the future? I think it's maybe because of fucking like the Predators. It's like, oh, I'm gonna look at everybody. Like, I think we keep seeing his scan ability where it's like not a threat, is a threat. That's a threat, and we think like, oh, the cops use that. It's like, no, Predator used that. There's a cool scene in that though when when the Predator is in the subway, and it's like, and the woman's there. She's like, oh my god, he killed everybody. Here I am. Doesn't have the gun, and then he looks down and she has a child, and and Predator's like, not a threat. It's like, walks away, and it's like, what happened? It's like, Predator don't just kill indiscriminately. He fights he wants a challenge. That's his thing. Like, if he's gonna just kill random people, he's not Predator. It's not the idea.
Unless it's the bad blood. If it's a bad blood, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, exactly. But he's like, I see no honor in killing this woman who's fucking, you know, has a child. Like, what's the point? And just walks away. I'm like, that was so fucking cool. I remember I got Blondie to watch, and she was like, whoa. She's like, yeah, man, Predator lives by fucking rules, dog. They're just a warrior society. They don't give a fuck. I mean, they give a fuck, but like, you know, they only want to fight things they want to fight. They ain't trying to fight nobody who don't want to do shit.
Also, fucking Bill Paxton fighting the Terminator, the Predator, and aliens, and dying in all three.
Hey, man, you can't say Homeboy didn't try, right?
Yep. That's a fucking hat trick.
Seriously, good for him. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But I think that'll round off for us, Roger, in our Cyber City / Cyberpunk Hangout episode. Thanks for joining me, my man.
Oh yeah, man. Anytime. I'll try and queue up some more Cyberpunk films. Anything really.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you so much. I'll catch you next time.
Have a good one, man.
You too.